A very good evening everyone. Welcome to IAS with Arihant. And student, as you know, every day at 9 p.m. we are doing the daily session that is for especially for the Indian polity, as well as there's another subject also that is conducted at a different time. So on the same channel, students. So as you know, students, we are doing basically this polity for the coming examination for this UPSC examination as well as for the other state PSC examination, and this session is basically totally based on a book that is Prelims Possible, and this book is going to help you in multiple sense. Okay, basically it will build your concept as well as it contain the previous year question paper. Along with that is a very better explanation. So I recommend you one thing. This book is going to be very means of fruitful part for your examination. So just have this book as well as share this with your friends also. And what you find the students, it is asked by students, sir, what are the features in this book? So if you see this book is divided into chapters. Along with that chapter is divided into topics. Okay, and see, with each and every question, what you find the students is basically means every chapters. What you find is a topical mind map that will help you a lot in understanding as well as taking out the best concept. Including students, if you see, this book is 100% error free. The explanations are up to the mark. Along with that, students will see that basically there's a knowledge plus for the typical questions, and it contain, if you see in the last, okay, if you have this book, and you will find that students in the last there is a prelims PYQ bullets that is going to be a helpful part for your coming examination. So stay tuned with the session, as well as you must go with the this book, students, so for your better preparation. Okay, so we are moving towards the chapter 2 topic 4. Okay, and we will do the MCQs as well as their explanation, as well as we'll try to run the concept. But before that, we need to see the mind map of the same chapter. Okay, so we are going to start with the same students. Okay, so we will see one by one each and every question, but before that we will see the mind map. Student, in the today's topic we are going to discuss the sources of Indian Constitution. As you know, students, our constitution is derived from the different constitution of the world. Means it is there are some basically the constitutional scientists, there is some comment also on the constitution ki our constitution is derived from, means it is called as borrowed constitution. Okay, so yes, it is a borrowed constitution, but we just derive the good part of the means good rules and regulation, as well as you can say we take out the good part of constitution from the different part of the world. Okay, so I hope you got it. So see, as you know, students, our constitution came into existence, okay, on 26th of November 1949, but it was partially adopted. How it was adopted? Partially adopted. But if you see, students, on 26th of January 1950, our constitution was fully implemented. It was fully implemented. So this is very important to understand ki, how much time it take to complete this constitution. So if you see, the making of constitution started from 9th of December 1946, and it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days in the making of Indian Constitution, students. So this is very important. You must go with the each and every data. And now, as you know, in our Indian Constitution we have 22 parts. Originally we have 22 parts, 395 articles, and there was 8 schedule. But now, students, with the time, as we required changes, our constitution was also modified, and till the time we had 105 or 105th Constitutional Amendment Act is also there by Article 368. So Article 368 is basically for the amendment in the constitution. But if you see from where these concepts are derived, from where these specific provision was derived, we are going to discuss same things and the chapter on the based, students. Okay, so if you see here, students, we are getting some data from the American Constitution, as well as this is one very important thing, students. Sometimes there's a question, blueprint of Indian Constitution. Blueprint of Indian Constitution. So basically it is what? It is Government of India Act 1935. So Government of India Act 1935, it was basically act, or you can say it was a rule, or you will see it is a basically, it was a constitution, but that was created by Britishers, and it was created in Britain. So what you see, students, it was modified. There are some specific provision that was derived from the Government of India Act 1935, and from the different part of world we learn the good concept and we included in our Indian Constitution with the better modification format, students. So if you see here, this is American Constitution. Okay, as you know, if you see the means factual data, American Constitution is the world oldest written constitution. It is the world oldest written constitution, and from here only we derive like fundamental right. Okay, I'm just giving some extra information related to this, but as you know, when the chapter will start, we'll discuss about these things also. Okay, like fundamental rights, students, it is mentioned under part 3 of the Indian Constitution, and if you talk about the article, it is from 12 to 35. Okay, so this is one thing, just try to remember. After that, there's the independence of judiciary. Okay, means basically executive will not interfere in the matter of judiciary. And judicial review. Judicial review is a provision where judiciary can check ki what the basically rules or laws or any conduct was created, it is followed by, means it is following constitution or not. So basically it is checking the constitutionality. Okay, so this is also very, very important, students. So basically they are checking legality of the constitution, means constitutional procedure, means let's suppose there is any law or any act created by the parliament or anybody. Like recently you'll see, students, there is a electoral bond. Okay, so electoral bond recently it's means it is declared as unconstitutional. So this is a part of judicial review. Okay, removal of judges, it is also procedure that was derived from the American Constitution. Impeachment of president, it is mentioned under article 61 of the Indian Constitution, but basically this is containing the procedure. What is the procedure and how the president of India can be removed? If you see, student, British Constitution, from the Britain we derive the parliamentary form of government, rule of law, writs, single citizenship, law making procedure in parliament as well as state, parliamentary privileges, as well as cabinet form of government, or you can say cabinet system. Student, if you see Canada, okay, so if you see in the Canada is a very large country. Okay, and it is the world's second largest country you'll find. And if you see, students, there is a one thing, as you know ki we are a union. Okay, but there is a states also. So state also has some power, but you'll see the center is more powerful. Okay, so basically this concept, we are following the federal system, but we are not true federal, but yes, we divided, we share power with the state also, and in that case you'll see the center is more powerful. Okay, and this derived from the Canadian Constitution, federal system with strong central government. If you see, students, residual power of center, what is residual power here? Student, as you know ki we have a schedule number 7. I hope it is visible to you. Schedule number 7 we have. Under the schedule number 7, there is a 3 type of subject. One is basically given under list 1, and that is given to basically center, or you can say union. So under means provision made under the list 1 or center list, over this subject only center can create law. In the same format, there is a state list also, and students will see there is a third list that is called as concurrent list. Concurrent list is derived from Australia Constitution. Okay, student, one very important thing you can find here, this power is separated between center and state, and concurrent over the concurrent list, both centers as well as state working. Okay, what you find here, let's suppose some requirement is there. Okay, let's suppose alien is coming to India, or maybe some new law needed to the country, and it is, let's suppose the subject is not mentioned under the list 1, list 2 or list 3, means state list, center list or concurrent list. In that case, this power means to make law, or to basically to cater this subject is basically given to center, or you can say union. So basically this will be a residuary power. Okay, it is always taken care by center. Okay, appointment of state governor by central government. So as you know, there is no election for governor. Governors are appointed by President of India, but it is on the recommendation of the ruling party. Okay, it is always done in the same format. If you move further, students, advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Okay, students, there is an Ireland Constitution. From Ireland Constitution, we can see there is a directive principle of state policy, DPSP, that is mentioned under the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, Article 36 to 51, and method of election of president, method. Okay, as well as there is a nomination of member of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so you have to remember this also. Okay, getting it? Very important. And if you see, students, from the American Constitution only, we got one more power here, basically the concept of vice president. Okay, see, if you take care for the means, if you follow the Australian Constitution, what you find, that concurrent list, that is under the Schedule 7, list 3. Okay, so this over the concurrent list, center as well as state both can create law, rules or any regulation. Okay, so freedom of trade and commerce, along with that joint sitting of parliament, it is mentioned under Article 108 of the Indian Constitution. What you find, let's suppose there is a deadlock between Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha over any bill. In that case, students, president will call a joint session where both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha sit together, and they will now discuss over the same bill. So as you know, Lok Sabha has a bigger majority, and so sometime it is going to happen, means the basically the votes of Lok Sabha member is going to be more in the joint sitting. So automatically that bill is going to be passed in the favor of ruling party. Okay, so this is also important. Basically, Constitution of Soviet Union, basically Russia. So okay, so basically the concept of fundamental duties, it was initially not in our Indian Constitution. That was added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 under Part 4A of Indian Constitution and Article 51A. Along with that, students, initially there was 10 fundamental duties, but later one more fundamental duty was added, that was duty to education. So this was added by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, so this is also important, just try to connect with the same. Now students, basically in our preamble, the concept of justice, that is social, economical and political justice, is derived from the Russian Revolution. Constitution of South Africa, procedure of amendment in the Constitution, as we already discussed, amendment is mentioned under Article 368 of the Indian Constitution, and if you talk about the part number is 20. Okay, so try to remember this also. If you see here, the Constitution of France, basically we derived the concept of republic. Recently there is a Madhya Pradesh PSC. In the same paper there is a concept, means they ask question from where this concept of republic we derived. If you see ideal of liberty, equality as well as fraternity in preamble, it is also derived from the France, and there was a French Revolution, students, that was takes place in 1789, and it was led by basically Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay, so this is also a part of your examination, as well as this is also part of your topic. So means it is discussed by history teacher in a very detailed format. Okay, so Constitution of Germany, suspension of fundamental right during emergency. See, our constitution allow the fundamental right cannot be suspended during the normal condition, but there is some provision. In that case, students, fundamental right can be suspended, but except there is an article, exception is there, article 20 and 21. It is never going to be suspended, students. In the same format, from the Constitution of Japan, procedure established by law. Okay, what is procedure established by law? Student, let's suppose, means Parliament make any law. Parliament make any law, and students, it is valid according to Constitution. And let's suppose you are going to violate law. Now you are going to be punished. So if punishment according to law means you are not, means there is no, means let's suppose your law is bad, in that case also it is going to be okay with the judgment or the judges. But the due process of law, it is also a system. In the due process of law, basically in the judicial review or the judges will check this law is basically okay or not, or basically it also follow a basic structure. Basic structure means here they must be you can say ki they are also not basically creating any type of nuisance like social injustice or these things. Okay, so they will take care for these things also, social justice, economical justice. Okay, but in the process established by law, they are just only checking the conclusion, and that conclusion should follow the basically laws. Otherwise it is going to be invalid. Okay, I hope you got getting it. Okay everyone, so this is one thing. And after that, Government of India Act 1935, Federal System, Office of Governor, Judiciary, basically Public Service Commission, Emergency Provision, as well as Administrative Decision. So these are the different data here, and we are going to discuss each and every in the form of MCQs that was asked by previously in the UPSC examination as well as State PSC examination. And students, I told you already, this book is going to be a important part of your preparation for your selection, okay, for your successful journey. So you must go with the book, it will be good for you. And here the first question on the screen, students. The fundamental right of the Indian Constitution were borrowed with the inspiration from. The fundamental right of the Indian Constitution were borrowed with the inspiration from. Okay, so with the Constitution of India, with the Constitution of USA, with the Constitution of Switzerland, or with the Constitution of Russia. Student, if you see, as we already discussed, the Constitution of USA is the world oldest written constitution, students. Another very important thing, basically this fundamental right is called as Bill of Rights. Okay, and we derived this fundamental right is from USA. Okay, so if you talk about our Indian fundamental right, it is mentioned under part 3 of the Indian Constitution, and if you talk about the article, it is from 12 to 35. How many fundamental rights are there? There is 6 fundamental right. Student, initially there was 7 fundamental right, but one is going to be removed, that is right to property. So now we have only 6 fundamental rights, students. I hope you are able to connect it. So option B is correct here, but yes, we need to see explanation also, and this explanation mentioned under the book in a very systematic and clear format. So you also go with the same. If you see, students, answer B, the fundamental right of Indian Constitution was borrowed from, or borrowed with the inspiration from, Bill of Right of the Constitution of USA. It is enshrined in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution, article from 12 to 35, and the other provision like independence of judiciary, judicial review, impeachment of president, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, as well as the post of Vice President, which is derived from the USA students. So this is also important. Just try to connect with the same. I hope you all able to connect it. Now, from which country tradition of written constitution began? Tradition of written constitution began means it is going to be the first country of the world who is going to accept the written constitution. So what you find in 1789 to 87 to 89, the Constitution of America was created. Okay, and see, the word first written constitution is American Constitution. If we talk about Britain is unwritten constitution. Okay, Britain has unwritten constitution. America has first written constitution of the world. Okay, so this is also important. And then you will find the students, India accepted the this written constitution concept from the America. So option D is going to be correct. Okay, so this is also important. Just try to connect with the same students. If you see explanation, basically the tradition of written constitution began in 17th century. And what is constitution? We just mentioned here in a very proper format. Constitution is a document which contain a set of law and principles. This document is the guiding principle to govern a set of people, country or state. A written constitution is based on the principle of rule of law, by which all are subject to law, and the law is regularly enforced, not arbitrarily applied. And India has the world lengthiest written constitution, but the first written constitution of the world is basically US Constitution. I hope you all getting it. Very simple, students. Just try to connect with the same. If you see the third question, what it says, okay, the concept of judicial review in India has been adopted from the Constitution of judicial review. As I told you, students, basically our judiciary can check any rules, law, custom and their conduct. Okay, if they are not following constitution, okay, or if they are not following basically the constitutional mechanism, definitely they are going to be invalid. So basically this power to check any law, any custom, it is basically judicial review. Okay, so they can check, they can recheck their own laws also. So what you find, students, ki it is derived from USA. The concept of judicial review is derived from USA Constitution. And if you see here, I just added, judicial review is the ability of the court to test the constitutionality of a law or executive order. Okay, so judicial review in USA has been a model for other countries to adopt. India adopted the concept of judicial review from the USA. Students, we will see there are some places where due process of law and some places where procedure established by law. Okay, these are the two concepts: procedure established by law and due process of law. Procedure established by law, very simple. Let's suppose there is a rule to punish someone, and during punishment they follow the same rule and they given a judgment, or maybe they are given you punishment. Okay, so now this is procedure established by law. So what law saying, if it is followed, then judiciary will be happy, they can't make any modification. But due process of law, let's suppose any basically judgment or punishment given according to a law, and let's suppose that law not following the social justice, economical justice or political justice, or maybe this law is also not good for humanitarian or humans, in that case students, basically they are going to check this law, that this is okay or not. Along with that, they will also check this. So in the due process of law, they will check the laws also. Okay, but in the procedure established by law, they are just check basically during the any conduct they followed rules or regulation or not. I hope you are able to connect it. So this is important. The judiciary of USA has a wider power as compared to Indian judiciary. India follows the procedure established by law, whereas the USA follows the due process of law. The scope of judicial review is limited in India, whereas it is wider scope in USA. Why? Because they are following the due process of law. They can check the conduct as well as they can check the laws also. Is this law is okay or not? Okay, it is humanitarian or not. But where the procedure established by law, so any rule is there. If it is going to use means in the procedure, then judiciary can't do anything. So judiciary of Indian judiciary has limited judicial review power, but in USA you can check, they can check laws also. Okay, now we are moving towards the next question. Okay, so given below as two statement in which one is assertion and other is reason. If we talk about the assertion, the scope of judicial review is limited in India. A reason says that Indian constitution has borrowed item. Now students see the assertion. The scope of judicial review is limited in India. You will say yes sir, it is correct. Now see whether reason is explaining well or not. So Indian constitution has borrowed item. So as you know the Indian constitution is derived from the different part of the constitution. Okay, so in the word where constitution is working, our constitution maker read the same book, same constitution, and they derive the positive thing from the same. So yes, it is also correct, but is this reason satisfying this assertion? You will say no sir. So what you find, there is a different type of code mentioning your examination. Read it carefully every time students. See, both assertion and reason are true. R is not correct explanation. R is a correct explanation of A. B says that both and A are true, but R is not correct explanation of A. A is true, R is false. A is false, R is true. Now, if students, as we find, both statement is correct, but they are not explanation of one another. So automatically option B is going to correct for the same. And this question was asked by UPPSC in 2017 students. I hope you all able to connect it. Now just see the explanation. As I told you, both A and R, assertion and reason, are true, but reason is not correct for the assertion. So judicial review is a type of court proceeding in which judges review the lawfulness of a decision or action made by public body. Judicial review are a challenge to the way in which a decision has been made rather than the right and wrong of the conclusion reached. So I told you students कि they will check the decision. It is following the rules or procedure or not. They are check only this thing. So India has limited judiciary, but in USA students, I told you they can check the law also कि this law is okay or not. Okay, so judicial review is not absolute, as some condition need to be met to challenges any law in the Supreme Court or High Court. Indian Constitution has borrowed some its provision from the constitution of different country, like fundamental right from USA, directive principle from the Ireland. So we already discussed about the same story. I hope you all able to connect it. Now if you see the fifth question, the idea of preamble has been borrowed in Indian Constitution from the Constitution of students. As you know, preamble. So what is preamble? But before that, we already know there was an objective resolution that was presented by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and this objective resolution presented on 13th of December 1946 students, and see, this was accepted or passed with a motion, okay, in Constituent Assembly, and student, the date was 22nd of January 1947. This is also important, and students state that basically this objective resolution contain this basically nature of constitution what we are going to create, and this preamble is it says that it is motivated from the objective resolution, and what you find, students, it is also called as summary of Indian Constitution. It is also called as introduction of Indian Constitution. It is also considered as basically keynote of Indian Constitution. So basically it contains important data topics, okay, means words, and this constitution, what our constitution contain, it is derived in one page format, okay. It is sometimes it is also called as introductory note, okay, it is also called as introductory notes. So see, this preamble is derived from USA. USA used for the first time preamble in their constitution, and students, another very important thing, basically this preamble language is derived from Australia. So this is also important. I hope you are able to connect it. If you feel doubt, just tell me, just discuss with me. So option D is correct. The preamble has been borrowed in Indian Constitution from the Constitution of USA, whereas the language of preamble was adopted from Australian Constitution. Preamble give the idea of the source of the Constitution, as well as students, nature of the state, and the main objective of the people of India as a nation. In the legislative history of India, for the first time, the Government of India Act 1919, or it is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, has a separate preamble, means the summary is simply you can say. Okay, if you move further to the next question, the concept of directive principle of state policy in Indian Constitution is derived from which country, students? So DPSP, directive principle of state policy, as it is mentioned under part 4 of Indian Constitution. If we talk about, it is mentioned under article 36 to 51, and this concept, students, it is derived from where? It is derived from Ireland, but Ireland derived this concept from Spain. For the first time, Spain used the same, and students, automatically it is going to be Ireland. So this is important, okay, and this is sometime factual data also, and if you see, the data was asked in UPPSC pre and Manipur PSC 2016 pre. Okay, so this is also important. The concept of directive principle of state policy in Indian Constitution is borrowed from the Constitution of Ireland. It is mentioned under part 4 of the Indian Constitution. Directive principle of state policy act as a guide for the government with regard to making law for the socio-economic welfare of the masses. Okay, so this is also important. Basically, they are discussing about the welfare of the state, students. I hope you are able to connect it. Okay, great, everyone. Easy. Now we are moving towards the next question, that is 7th question. The concept of a union of state in the Indian Constitution has been derived from union of state. Okay, it is derived from which of the following constitution? The American Constitution, Australian Constitution, British North American Act, or Swiss Constitution. So from where we derive this union of state concept? Okay, so basically this British North American Act, if you see, it was introduced in 1861, and that is basically later came to known as Canada. So it is derived from the Canada. Okay, but see, this is the British North American Act, and I just added, means we just added explanation here. The concept of a union of state in the Indian Constitution is or has been derived from the British North American Act 1867. Okay, basically united 3 British colonies into the first 4 provinces of the Dominion of Canada. Okay, establishing Canada as a federation of provinces. So even this Canada means our federalism is like Canadian federalism. So the union of state in Indian Constitution is taken out from the Canadian Constitution. Okay, and which is made by British North American Act students. We already discussed about the same. Okay, getting it? Great, everyone. If any doubt, just discuss with me. Okay, now India borrowed the idea of federal system with a strong center system from. Okay, federal system. Okay, means we have different states. They have separate power with the center. Yes or no? So now there's one thing, students, very important. As we have states, we have center, both have separate power. So this is basically a system of federal structure, and both is not going to interfere in one another. If it is a tight federal, means true federal, rigid federal, so like USA federal, both means center has separate power, state has separate power. But India, we are means not true federal, but yes, we are quasi federal. So see, this concept of the federal structure where center is more strong as compared to state, it is also derived from the Canada. Okay, very important, the idea of federal structure with a strong center. And see students, this question is recently UPPSC pre, as well as I'm just adding up data, UPPSC lower, they also asked the same question in 2019. Okay, so this is also important. So basically idea of federal system with a strong central system has been taken from the Constitution of Canada, students. So the federal government is a system of sharing power between central national government and local state government and other unit of the government, students. So basically the power sharing thing. So federal system of government where the distribute power of governance between different unit of governance. So for example, in India context, central government, state government and panchayat work in their own dominion divided by the Constitution of India. So this is according to the Constitution. Okay, getting it? Any confusion, any doubt? Okay, if you have, just discuss with me, students. Now we are moving towards the 9th question of the day, students, or this from this chapter. The ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity as enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution of India were adopted under inspiration from. See, we have liberty, equality and fraternity. Manish Soni, it is a very new channel, so that's why. Okay, here we'll get recently people not getting information. Okay, so yes, it is your work, it is your task. You must share this channel with your friends also, so they also get the good content, as well as they will also ensure their success. Okay, so getting it? So liberty, equality, fraternity. So basically this concept was derived during the French Revolution. Okay, in 1789, students, the leader was Napoleon Bonaparte. So we already told you this is French Revolution concept, and Russian Revolution, from here we got the concept of justice, that is social justice, economical justice and political justice. Okay, so we got this concept from the Russian Revolution. I hope you are getting it. Simple, students. Okay, so the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity as enshrined in the preamble of Indian Constitution has been taken from the French Revolution, that is in 1789. So many other nations have adopted the French slogan, that is liberty, equality and fraternity, as an ideal. According to B.R. Ambedkar, the preamble was a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, fraternity as the principle of life and which cannot be separated from each other. So this is the word of basically Dr. B.R. Ambedkar sir. So just try to connect with the same. Now if you move towards the 10th question, provision for concurrent list in Indian Constitution is borrowed from the Constitution of concurrent list. We already discussed about the same, and students, as you can see, it is in JPSC, UPPSC, Manipur PSC. It is from Ireland, United States, former USSR, or Australia. Student, basically this power division is mentioned under Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution. We already discussed. There are 3 lists: list 1, list 2, and list 3, or you can say union subject list. Okay, list 2 contain basically state subject list. List 3 is basically concurrent list. So this concurrent list concept means where both center as well as state will work. It is derived from the Australia students. Okay, but always remember, don't confuse with the residual power. Residual power is different thing. Means if it is not mentioned in all 3 lists, that power will given to the center. That is derived from the Canada. I hope you all connecting. So this is one thing. The provision for concurrent list in the Indian Constitution is borrowed from the Constitution of Australia. Concurrent list is the list in which both central and state government can make law. At present, there is a 52 items. Initially, it was 47. Okay, and it contain education, forest, marriage, trade union. These are the part of the concurrent list students. If you move further here, so from which constitution suspension of fundamental right during emergency was borrowed to the Indian Constitution students? Soviet Constitution, Weimar Constitution of Germany, French Constitution, or Swiss Constitution? Student, you can see here basically the concept of emergency is mentioned under Government of India Act 1935. It is mentioned there. So emergency are 3 types. One is called as national emergency, 352. Another is called as state emergency, 356. And the third one is financial emergency, that is 360. So see, still till the time financial emergency not imposed in India, but during emergency your fundamental right is going to be suspended. But now you'll say, sir, all right is going to be suspended. No, there are some exceptions. So exceptions are Article 20 and 21 never going to be suspended. Okay, so the concept of suspension of fundamental right, we derive it from the Weimar Constitution of Germany. Okay, this is also important to understand. The feature of suspension of fundamental right during emergency is taken from Weimar Constitution of Germany in part number 18 of the Indian Constitution, from Article 352 to 360. This provision is added there, and such provision help and enable central government to basically to meet any abnormal situation effectively. Okay, so the reason behind the incorporation of these provision in the Constitution is to safeguard the sovereignty, unity, integrity, and security of the country, the democratic political system, and the Constitution of India students. So this is also important. Just try to note it down as well as take it out. Okay, see students, the next question, the system of public account committee. Okay, so basically public account committee, they are take care for your means they are creating provision ki, as you know ki there is a different ministry is going to spend money from your tax. Okay, so that will be the revenue for them, and they are going to spend it as expenditure. So basically they will make estimation over the same, they will take care for the same. So public account committee, it is derived from which country? America, France, Great Britain, or China? So public account committee was it was created in 1921 students in India. So automatically it was belonging to Great Britain. Okay, so the Public Account Committee is taken from the Great Britain. In India, the Public Account Committee was introduced in 1921 after the mention of Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Okay, the Public Account Committee, basically parliamentary committee that examine the annual report that is presented by CAC. Okay, and basically there's a 22 member, 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha, and the term is basically for 1 year. Now 13th question we have, and this question says that which of the following provision and sources are not correctly matched. So if you see the provision one side and sources another side, so fundamental right is derived from USA, you will say sir it is correct. Directive principle of state policy from Ireland, you will say sir it is also correct. Residual power of center is from Australia. So as you know students, from Australia we derive what? Concurrent list. Okay, and this residual power of center is derived from Canada. Emergency power is basically the suspension of emergency is from Germany. Okay, so automatically option C is going to be correct answer because it is not correctly matched. Okay, so residual power of center borrowed from the Canadian Constitution, not from the Australian Constitution students. So from Australian Constitution we have borrowed the provision related to the concurrent list, freedom of trade and commerce, joint sitting of both House of Parliament students. If you move further, we have another very important question, and that is also means it is a question that says that match the following statements. Okay, so match the feature of Indian Constitution with the source borrowed from the different constitution of the world, like it was in UPSC 2003, UPPSC 2010, as well as MPPSC 2013. So Office of Governor, Judicial Review, Directive Principle of State Policy, and Parliamentary System of Government, and here they are mentioning the sources. So if you talk about the Judicial Review, everyone know it is derived from the USA, means American Constitution. So if you see for B, 4 will be here, you know, very easily, very simple. So if you follow the same, you will find the right answer. But I just like to mention